Good Tuesday evening. Thanks for joining us tonight for Unscripted. If you were lucky enough to get outside today, you know that the sunshine was out there in full force. Hopefully you were able to catch it. Big difference compared to yesterday and the previous few days. For a look at what we can expect going into the rest of the week, especially as we inch closer to Christmas, Joe Charlevoix is here to give us a look. But I have to say, Joe, today felt really nice just to see some sun. It felt just a nice welcome change.
Go ahead, Melissa. Anything more?
I just loved it.
It was nice, yeah.
Can we keep it around?
I don't know about that, but for those of you that did see the sun today, it was a nice little display out there. Nice sunset in some spots too this evening. Let's take a look though at Melissa as we move ahead here now. Tomorrow, quiet weather, but more clouds I think around right through Christmas Day, and then the day we're watching is Friday. Maybe you're heading home after the holidays, perhaps. There is the potential for some snow and maybe some freezing rain. So we'll look at that. And when things start to cool back down again, I'll have all that a little later.
Okay, thanks, Joe. The Otsego County bus system expanding its schedule starting in 2026. UpNorthLive's Mary Jane Glenn spent the day with dispatchers and employees to understand how this service works.
If you are in need of transportation services, the Otsego County bus system can help. The director says that it's an on-demand service, meaning you can call for a ride, press extension 1, and work with the dispatcher to be added to the schedule.
The dispatcher takes calls from all residents of Otsego County, and we try to fit them into the bus routes that bus runs that we've already created with other passengers. So we look for the direction of the bus and the timing, and we try to fit those people in to get them where they need to go by their appointment time.
On January 3rd, the new bus schedule will run from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, and Saturday from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. So that means 2 hours are added to the schedule daily on weekdays, and Saturday has been added back into the rotation. The last time that Otsego County bus system ran on Saturdays was before COVID in 2019.
We have a local advisory council meeting annually, and last year they come to us and really just expanding hours is going to give the passengers, the regular passengers, more time to schedule for their appointments and grocery shopping.
Passengers are taken to medical appointments, to and from work and school, grocery shopping, and so much more. The bus also has a wheelchair lift, making it fully ADA accessible. Byrne says that there's a large number of people in the area that do not have their own transportation.
We've noticed services picking up in some of the more rural areas, and so we're trying to meet that need. We are meeting that need. And more students are going and using the service, and people who are going to work are using the service at an increased rate. So our ridership is going up.
As for staffing goes, here's the plan.
We will be doing a review within the first 6 months of the user of the ridership to make sure we're being utilized, for the new times. And if we are at this time, we are still short staff as well. We're looking for a couple of bus aides as well as a driver.
And if you need a ride while celebrating, the Otsego County bus system will give out free rides on New Year's Eve from 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. In Otsego County, Mary Jane Glenn, UpNorthLive News.
A significant development regarding wolves involves a U.S. House vote to strip gray wolves of Endangered Species Act protections. This would give the possibility of wolf management back to the states. The U.S. House of Representatives voted just last week to strip gray wolves in the lower 48 states of protections under the Endangered Species Act. And the bill would delist gray wolves from the Endangered Species Act and eliminate the ability to challenge the delisting in court due to a clause in the bill bearing that decision from judicial review. If passed by the Senate and signed by the president, that law will be enacted no later than 60 days after being signed. To see what this means for wolves in Michigan, specifically between the Upper Peninsula and the Lower Peninsula, we're joined tonight by Representative Parker Fairbairn. Representative Fairbairn serves Michigan's 107th district, which includes some of the counties in northern Michigan's Lower Peninsula, like Charlevoix and Sheboygan counties, as well as counties in the Upper Peninsula, like portions of Chippewa up to some townships in Marquette. Representative Fairbairn, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me this evening.
I want to start with the possibility of taking gray wolves off the Endangered Species Act protections. What's the push behind this?
I think it's really a national push. You look at states like Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan, where we have way too many wolves per square mile. And what we've seen is the destruction of livestock, deer, and pets all over. So we really want to see that changed. And that's really where the push is coming from.
Coming out of firearm deer hunting season, what are your thoughts on this?
I think the timing's interesting. You look, we're at the end of the year, the end of the legislative year. I think we wanted to see some movement at the federal level. They wanted to see the same. This was a bill that many people were pushing, especially Congressman Jack Bergman, who represents the Upper Peninsula. This was a big one for us to get across the line in the House, and now it moves on to the U.S. Senate, where I think it'll have the same momentum.
Do you think there needs to be different considerations for these types of decisions, specifically, in matters in the Upper Peninsula versus Michigan's Lower Peninsula?
Yeah, I introduced a bill in the state house actually that would create their own natural resource commission for the Upper Peninsula, and this would be very beneficial. You see what we've had across Michigan is blanket regulations in terms of deer management, all sorts of wildlife and fisheries. And if you look at the Upper Peninsula, it's so different compared to the Lower Peninsula, and it really needs to have locals managing their wildlife and their fisheries. I think it'd be a great idea to see kind of an independent eye on the Upper Peninsula.
And speaking of other wildlife, ultimately, what would this mean if wolves were to be taken off the Endangered Species Protections Act for other animals, deer, bear, livestock?
I think deer, you'd see the biggest impact. The Upper Peninsula deer population has continued to dwindle, and a lot of it's due to this apex predator, the gray wolf. So we'd like to see that managed. We're not trying to wipe out the wolves by any means. We want to see them managed properly. And we've got the really good natural resource officers, but we also have very good scientists within the natural resource department here in Michigan. And they see the issue there in the UP. They acknowledge it, and they want to see some sort of management for these animals.
And when it comes to management, what about people on the other side of the issue that might say, well, leave things as is, let nature run its course and take care of how it should take care of itself?
So what you've seen in the Upper Peninsula, on the east end, there were many wolves over the last 3 or 4 years, and the wolves have actually gone away in the eastern Upper Peninsula because they've eaten all the food there. There's no more deer, there's no more hare, no rabbit, no anything. And what that really means is these wolves are migrating westward and wiping the deer out that way now too. So the argument really is there's an imbalance in the ecosystem because we've introduced an apex predator that's been able to proliferate and create all of these offspring, and they're unmanageable now. There's too many of them, so we want to see proper management of them by the state, and that's going to start to solve the issue.
And what are the next steps with this to possibly delisting them from the Endangered Protections Act?
So the bill moves to the United States Senate, where they'll have the opportunity to consider this. We believe, and from what I've heard from my federal colleagues, is it's going to move. It's going to move in the Senate and go to the president's desk. Who knows on the timing of that? But I think if it gets to the president's desk, he'll sign it into law, and we'll have this opportunity for our state to manage these wolves. And from what I've understood, the Department of Natural Resources is in favor of managing these wolves. So once it gets kicked back to the states, I think we'll see a positive approach from the state in terms of management and have a hunt on these sometime next year.
Representative Parker Fairbairn, thank you for joining us today on Unscripted. We appreciate you taking the time. We do have the story posted on our website, UpNorthLive.com. You can check out more details. And of course, we'll keep you posted on the next steps when it comes to taking wolves potentially off of the Endangered Species Act protections. Well, that conversation takes us to our question of the day now. We have a poll going. Do you think gray wolves in Michigan should be taken or across the country should be taken off the endangered species list. Chime in on our Facebook page and our website, UpNorthLive.com. We'll check the poll and those responses coming up a little bit later in the show. Losing everything in a fire takes a long time to recover from. A Benson County church knows that at the start of November, their sanctuary burnt to the ground. Weeks later, and they aren't letting that massive loss keep them from serving the community and celebrating the season. Our Mark Gillette has more.
I think it's still surreal. You know, it just feels like one of those things that you don't think is going to happen to you.
But for Pastor Tyler Anderson and those who worship at Crystal Lake Church, it did happen to them. And they're reminded of it often.
There's supposed to be a building there, you know, and now there's not.
Monday through Saturday, it's a drive-by reminder. But come Sundays, the loss of their church building by fire on November 2nd hits a little different.
It doesn't feel real, you know, it doesn't feel like reality.
But the congregation that used to call this home didn't let disbelief stand in the way of congregating.
A few of our people in our congregation said, hey, that place is for sale. You know, maybe it's a chance to rent it out and use that space as our own. And so we went to the township and they had a board meeting and came back to us and said, hey, we'll let you use that building and we'll let you use it rent free.
Thanks to the township's generosity, for the past several weeks, Crystal Lake Church has set up shop, ironically, right next door to one of the fire departments that responded to their blaze.
I mean, we've used the classrooms for nursery and kids' classrooms and for our teens, and it has a space big enough for us to meet right now.
They're making plans to relaunch here.
We'll rebuild a church building, and hopefully a year or so from now, we'll be able to move into that space.
7 weeks ago, fire destroyed their building, putting plans for the all-important Christmas season in question. They found a temporary home, and then they found help.
Absolutely made us stronger, you know, even from the community, to have so many churches reaching out to us, people from the community offering their support, churches offering to give us things to house us, has just been really incredible. I think, our congregation is so much stronger because of it.
So Christmas Eve, Crystal Lake Church will host a service for all, a reflection of their devotion and of their appreciation of each other and all who have helped them get to where they are today. A journey they never imagined they would have to take, but one that in some ways has revealed blessings they never could have hoped for.
Just the blessing to know that we had a fire, we had that tragic event, but God's still with us throughout it all. Even though we're in another building, you know, our routine is upset a little bit, but to have people walking into the service Christmas Eve and just being able to be able to even have that service is going to be a huge blessing, going to bring a lot of joy, you know, and even peace to us in this Christmas time, which is what it's all about.
That was Mark Gillette reporting. The traditional Christmas Eve service will take place at 6 p.m. right there at the church temporary home, the former Benzonia Township Hall, and all are welcome. All right, stay with us. Joe Charlemagne takes a look at that weather as we get closer to the Christmas holiday coming up after the break.
I'm Jada Johnson from Big Boys TV, and the Fish and Game Report is sponsored by Johnson's Propane.
Welcome back to Up North Live's Unscripted for this Tuesday evening. Hopefully you're able to see some sun today where you are. It felt great to get outside, but to see if that'll continue and what's in store for the rest of the week, meteorologist Joe Charlevoix has the latest. Joe, I was going to say the sun was just a welcome sight today.
It was. For those that got to see it today, it was nice. We had some 40s too today. And, you think about Christmas, you think snow and cold, and not quite this year. Across the north. So travel should be pretty good. This is how warm it did get today. You can see Big Rapids reached 45 and Mount Pleasant 51. 51 today there. Everybody was above the 32-degree mark, though, across northern Michigan. Again, this is a little earlier in the day today. The cold air is locked up in Canada for now, for the most part. It's going to stay there most of this week. When will we see a little of that colder air coming back in? It's going to be late Sunday into Monday. So we have a mild stretch until then for the most part. By the way, look up in Alaska. I've been showing this the last day or so, but even for up there, that's cold. Northway, Fort Yukon, 46 below zero right now. And keep in mind, it's like 2 in the afternoon up there. It's the middle of the day. It's 46 below. Pretty chilly. Watch what happens. Mild one across the U.S. You see this big ridge with the cold air. That's the pink and purples up in Canada. This stays in place through at least Saturday, and then watch Sunday into Monday. Yeah, a little bit of that starts dropping in to the Great Lakes region. So that should early next week kick up a little bit of lake effect snow and maybe another shot of that coming in the middle of next week. By the way, that would be right around New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. It could potentially be cold for New Year's. We'll see. Meanwhile, around the rest of the country, snow in New England, and a lot of rain continuing out in California. They've been having flooding issues there, but the heart of the country is pretty quiet, including our area. High pressure near Winnipeg will slowly work through here. That's going to keep things on the quiet side. So as we take a look here overnight through tomorrow, there's Christmas Eve, maybe a snow shower north. Not a lot happening, a nice day. I think a little more cloud cover than what we had today, though. And then here we are Christmas morning into the afternoon on Christmas Day. Maybe with that wind out of the north dragging in a little bit of drier air off Canada, maybe a little sunshine, hopefully, at least for a time on Thursday. So Christmas Day itself looks quiet. And then we get some messier weather in here Friday into, mainly during the day on Friday. So Christmas itself, cloudy or mostly cloudy, 20 to 35 on Christmas Day. And then it's just after this, as we get into Friday, right there where we could see some snow or pink shaded areas, some freezing rain. We're kind of on the edge of the freezing line there Friday. So could be messy Friday, quiet Saturday, mild Sunday morning, and then here comes the cold air right there. We'll switch rain over to snow Sunday and then probably some lake effect snow on Monday next week. So travel's not the best for Friday, but looks okay tomorrow, also on Christmas Day. Overnight, 7 to 27, a big range. The coldest temperatures will be in the UP tonight, mostly cloudy but quiet. And then tomorrow, a brief snow shower possible in the UP, highs mid-20s to around 30 degrees. Sheboygan, 32, right at freezing tomorrow. Your forecast high, cloudy skies. Elk Rapids, Empire, 36, kind of a popular number there, cloudy skies. Last stop, mid-30s, cloudy skies. And there's our extended forecast. Again, Christmas quiet, but Friday could be messy. And then Sunday, rain to snow. And then you see there, Melissa, a little colder Monday, a little bit of lake effect snow.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, Joe. Coming up in sports, we are taking a look back at some of the best moments in the high school girls season from this year. Stay with us. It's coming up. Welcome back to Unscripted. Sports Director Harrison Beebe is back with another year in review. This time, he and his roundtable committee put the spotlight on the top moments from the girls in high school sports.
So our girls year in review today, the best high school sports moments from the girls teams this season. And Drew, we're going to start with you this time around.
Yeah, I'm going to go with individual, but, she had just some heck of team success as well. Sadie Corey, finishing with the Toski High School record for varsity letters, not just girls, but boys as well. 16 varsity letters in her career, track, volleyball, soccer, basketball. I saw every single, year in every single sport. And, it wasn't just, from an individual standpoint of earning all state title and all that. It was actually team titles as well. 2 BNC titles and a district title in basketball, a BNC title and a district title in soccer, a volleyball district title, and then 2 track regional titles as well. So just part of 8 trophies as well along the way.
Great career for her, and yep, no doubt worth mentioning. James, what do you got for us?
Kingsley winning the state volleyball title this year in Division III. You've got the whole thing with Tim Woor and his daughter being the setter on the team, and him getting a private plane from the football semifinal down to the volleyball final, and everything. And then just to the path that they took to the state finals, they beat 6 ranked teams on the way there, half of the top 10, and another honorable mention team. They beat number 1 Roscommon, they beat number 10 Beale City, number 5 Monroe St. Mary, who's the defending champions in the Final Four, number 7 St. Francis, and then Manton and Districts, who is honorable mention in the rankings as well.
Great stuff from James. A lot of times, in these reviews, we like to hone in on state champions like James just did and mention these teams that reach the mountaintop. And that's a great moment. But I think it gets lost sometimes in the conversation how special it is even just to make runs to a championship round. And so that's why I want to give credit to the Clare Pioneer softball program, getting to the Division III state championship at Michigan State and playing in a tight back and forth game against Grass Lake. I remember that's kind of like my unofficial last day of the year before, just like the schools. I also go on summer break in a sense, and you guys probably agree, done with the prep sports season in the spring before football starts in a few months. So that was that last game of the year for me, and it was back and forth. Clare had it, then they didn't, then they tied it up again, and then it went extras and Grass Lake won it in the end. So a tough day for them to accept what had happened, but something I hope now 6 months later they can look back on and be proud of and know, hey, we hung right in there in the state championship game, and we're more than capable of doing that again. So I want to give a shout out to the Clare Pioneer softball program for a great effort in the state finals and creating a legendary game, which just as much as the championships matter, I think the three of us can agree. Those legendary games, those sit out in your memory for a lifetime as well.
All right, thanks for that report, Harrison. Coming up, we're going to take a look at the live results for our question of the day. So don't forget to check out our Facebook page and our website, UpNorthLive. We'll be right back.
Salon services are furnished by Epiphany Advanced Academy in East Acme.
All right, taking a look at our question of the day. Do you think gray wolves should be taken off the endangered species list? Right now, 45% saying no, 55% saying yes. There is still time for you to answer that question. Go to our Facebook page or our website, UpNorthLive.com. Checking out some of the comments, though, Jim saying, I think the number should be managed by each state based on scientific facts, not just the emotions of a select few. Dave says, I think they should be taken off the list in the Upper Peninsula before the white-tailed deer are on that list. Jacob says they need to be managed like all other predators. Yes, the deer will thank us, especially in the UP. Check out our ad lib question of the day. We hope to see you back here for Up North Live News at 11. Until then, have a great night.